In a world of instant gratification, with Amazon same-day delivery and a quick DoorDash of fast food at almost everyone's fingertips, fast fashion has also been weaved into our everyday life. But what even is fast fashion? Fast fashion is not a single brand or piece of clothing. Rather, it's a way of manufacturing and marketing clothes that promotes cheap prices, quick trends, and a wasteful culture. Clothing companies that practice this marketing strategy adopt the name of fast fashion brand. Brands like Shein, H&M, Zara, American Eagle, and even Hollister are all examples of this, where the drop-off in clothing quality just cannot justify the price. These fast fashion brands almost always produce cheaply made clothes that probably aren't worth more than thrift store prices, while often sometimes still charging a premium. Fast fashion can be threatening when it comes to the ethics of clothing production, clothing quality, and their sustainability. Behind the facade of trendy clothing and affordable prices lies corporations hiding glaring ethical concerns when it comes to how they produce their clothing. It is evident that many fast fashion brands prioritize their profits over their employees and work quality of life. The quick production of fast fashion companies usually leads to low wages, poor working conditions, and minimal labor protections for their employees. The most evident example of this issue is with a clothing company called Shein. Shein is most notably known for their extremely low prices, often only charging $15 and under for most of their clothing items. However, those low prices don't come without a cost. Florida Senator Marco Rubio raised concerns about Shein, stating, "Shein claims that its suppliers abide by a strict code of conduct, yet investigations have found that these suppliers are little more than sweatshops. Some seamstresses work nearly 80-hour weeks for a pittance. Some do not have formal contracts of employment, raising additional concerns about forced labor." According to Senator Rubio, Shein factory quality can be comparable to what is essentially a sweatshop, where people are overworked and underpaid. The exploitation of these workers dehumanizes them, and unfortunately, the convenience and low price of fast fashion leads to that expense. Fast fashion has caused a decline in clothing quality over the years. Back in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, brands really only had 2 chances a year to make profits, usually releasing a fall/winter and a spring/summer collection. This process often took months. As a result, brands obsessed over the small details. They used higher quality fabrics and made sure each piece had the perfect fit, because if they failed to produce quality clothing, customers wouldn't return. Since brands made better clothes, the consumer bought less. An article written by Catherine Horvath states Americans are buying more clothes today than ever before. On average, we buy 53 new items of clothing per year, 4 times as much as in the year 2000. The fast fashion business model is made to produce clothes as quickly as possible, with brands like Shein only taking about 10 days to go from design to production, which is only about 1/20th the amount of time it takes when compared to a traditional clothing brand. The result? Fast fashion brands release clothes year-round rather than seasonally, with a cheaper price tag and cheaper quality. Cheaper quality clothing leads to the consumer buying more and also disposing more. Focusing on quantity over quality creates a couple different outcomes. One, yes, clothes are cheaper, but on the other side of that coin, you get what you pay for. Clothes are cheaper. Clothing sustainability is a glaring issue when it comes to fast fashion. An $11 pair of jeans is going to have $11 quality. After a few wears, they've shrunk or gotten ripped up, and into the trash they go. Then the cycle repeats. People buy cheap clothes, wear them for about a year, and throw them out. Horvath states Americans throw out 17 million tons of clothing and textiles each year, and 65% of clothing is thrown out within 12 months of its purchase. Most people who buy fast fashion don't even keep their clothes a full year, resulting in clothes piling up in landfills and the consumer wasting more money on clothes they don't need, supporting the fast fashion business model of quick trends and wasteful habits. The pollution from fast fashion doesn't just stop in landfills. An article states that the fashion industry is the second most polluting of all industries, resulting in 8% of all carbon emissions. Many fast fashion manufacturers are located in countries like China that don't have regulations on carbon emissions, which is why this is such a big issue. But what about the jobs that fast fashion companies provide to those in developing countries? An argument can be made that fast fashion can provide citizens that live in developing countries with a job who would otherwise not have one. To a certain extent, this is true, with the fast fashion industry employing approximately 75 million factory workers across the globe. However, less than 2% of those factory workers are paid a livable wage from these jobs. Clothing production costs include everything from marketing to materials and labor. The most expensive part of producing clothes should be the work that's put into it. So when a shirt costs $5 on Temu, the underpaid garment worker is really the one paying the price. Fast fashion might look like an easy way to stay up to date with the latest fashion trends, but the truth is, quick-moving trends and disposable culture do more harm than good. It is especially damaging to the underpaid workers who work day and night designing and manufacturing these clothes, with little pay in return. Additionally, the fall-off in clothing quality from fast fashion compared to 30 years ago causes the environment to suffer, from pollution created by the clothes and the factories that produce them. Though not all hope is lost, there are solutions to fast fashion. Instead of scrolling and ordering clothes off of websites like Shein, buying from a local thrift store and even buying less clothes over a longer period of time can help combat the issues from fast fashion. Fast fashion is an ever-growing problem, and although there are a few things people can do to prevent the negative effects, the issues of fast fashion still lie in the ethics of its production, quality of clothing, and clothing sustainability.